So this is the title of my presentation, A Mindful Relationship with Medicines in Healing the Mind. Yeah. So as I mentioned, I'm a psychiatrist in a private practice, and I actually use mindfulness and medication to help people with mental health conditions like depression, anxiety, bipolar, and schizophrenia. So today I'll be sharing with you on how to use psychiatric medications mindfully. It's not on how to use mindfulness to treat mental health condition, which is also very important, but that has been covered by a lot of other speakers. So my emphasis is on how to use psychiatric medications mindfully. In short, is mindful medicating, how to use medicine mindfully. Okay, with the pandemic, more and more people are having stress. More people having a lot of emotional distress. In my clinic, I'm seeing more and more people with COVID-related insomnia, panic attack, anxiety, depression, and burnout. Day in, day out, lots and lots of patients. Well, when the conditions are mild, mindfulness-based strategies are very useful. So not medications are not needed, which is very good. For those of you who are new to the science of mindfulness, actually it's good to know that there are numerous scientific studies to show that mindfulness practice is useful for reducing stress, anxiety, and depression. For example, there's this review by Cowrie in 2019. It's a systematic review to show that mindfulness-based therapy is useful for reducing stress, anxiety, and depression. And in a more recent review in 2015, it has been shown that mindfulness practice is useful for physical and mental health. Yeah, so mindfulness is very useful. However, for more serious mental health conditions like schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, severe anxiety, depression, and insomnia, usually medications are needed, at least for short term. Because I'm a psychiatrist who advocate mindfulness practice, so a lot of my clients, they come to me with the intention to learn mindfulness to cure their mental health conditions. And many of them, by the time they come to look for me in my clinic, they have tried various mindfulness-based treatment methods like meditation, yoga, Qigong, MBSR, MBCT, and so on. And usually they tell me, "Doc, it's not working, please help me." Yeah. So after listening to them compassionately, I will usually suggest short-term medication with mindfulness. And can you guess what's their response? They will usually say no. They will usually say no. There's the resistance and there's a reluctance. That is understandable due to the fear of a side effect, and usually more natural method like mindfulness is preferred. Okay. Then I usually say yes, mindfulness is very good. In fact, I teach mindfulness. I practice mindfulness myself personally, professionally. But I say when the mental health condition is very bad, usually mindfulness is not useful. Yeah. So when we can't sleep, when basic functions are like sleep, we can't sleep, we can't eat, the body is so tired, the mind is so blurred, it's very difficult to focus, it's very difficult to pay attention, it's very difficult to meditate. So usually I suggest medication first. Yeah, mindfulness is helpful, but it's useful to have medication to stabilize the mental condition, and then we use mindfulness for maintenance and prevention. Yeah, usually when I explain in this way, most of the time the patients can accept. Okay, talking about mindfulness and meditation, some people say mindfulness is better. Some people say meditation is better. But in my experience and in my humble opinion, I believe that both have their roles. Not necessarily it has to be mindfulness against medication or mindfulness replacing medication. We can actually use both medication plus mindfulness when needed according to the situation. Yeah. So why use only one hand when we have both hands? Okay? We can use our left hand. We can also use our right hand when needed. Yeah, so I believe in a combination, mindfulness plus medication when needed. Of course, if the condition is mild, mindfulness is sufficient. But if the mental health condition is severe, usually medication is needed at the beginning phase, together with family support, followed by the counseling and mindfulness practice. Okay, let's recap the definitions of mindfulness, because this sharing is on how to apply mindfulness in medicating. So let's recap the definitions of mindfulness. So this is the famous definitions of mindfulness by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn, the father of modern mindfulness. So Dr. John defines mindfulness as paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, and non-judgmentally. I'm sure this has been shown repeatedly in this conference, because this is a mindfulness conference. Okay. So mindfulness is paying attention to the present moment, and in our context of mindful medicating, the present moment is actually the medicating process or the experience. Yeah, in the mindfulness program that I conduct in Malaysia, which is called the MINDFULGym program, I have expanded the definitions of mindfulness. The one I read to you earlier is the traditional definition by Dr. John Kabat-Zinn. This is a definition that we use in the MINDFULGym program in Malaysia. Yeah, so in the MINDFULGym program, I define mindfulness as remembering to pay attention to the present moment with an attitude of kindness, a beginner's mind, and wisdom. Similar, the keyword paying attention is there, but I expanded the definition. Embedded in this definition are 5 components of mindfulness. There are 5 components of mindfulness represented by 5 R's. They are the mindfulness memory, attention, kindness, beginner's mind, and wisdom. Yeah. So I would like to highlight that mindfulness is not just paying attention. It's not just present moment attention. It's remembering to pay attention and relate to our medication with kindness, beginner's mind, wisdom. Yeah. So this is the framework that I'm going to use on this presentation on mindful medicating. Yeah. So how are we going to do that? How are we going to take our medications mindfully? How are we going to medicate mindfully based on this definition? Yeah, which is going to be the focus of this sharing. I really hope that you don't have to be on any medication. I hope that whatever mental health or medical conditions or surgical conditions that you are suffering from is just mild, so you don't have to use medication. You can try mindfulness method or other non-medication method. However, if your condition is serious, especially on chronic disease, if you need to medicate, these are some suggestions that you can try to medicate mindfully. Yeah. Okay, let's start with memory, mindfulness memory. One of the less emphasized meaning of mindfulness is memory, remembering, reminding, and recollection. Most of the time when people talk about mindfulness, they talk about the present moment attention, which is not wrong. Okay, the complete definitions of mindfulness will include the memory component as well: remembering, reminding, and recollecting. So at a very basic level, mindful medicating or relating mindfully to medication means remembering to take our medications. Remembering to take our medications. So very often when I'm running my clinic in somewhere medical center, I usually suggest to my patients to take notes on the instruction to take medication. Okay? Especially the patients who are very anxious, very often they're very forgetful. So I suggest that they will take notes so that they remember the instructions to take medication. Yeah. I also often suggest for them to bring a friend, a trusted friend or family member to accompany them to my clinic so that they can help to remember the instruction, also to help to take notes on the instructions. So mindfulness is remembering. In our context, is remembering the instructions to take medication. I also often assure my patients, I will tell them, in case you forget the instructions how to take the medication, feel free to give a call to my clinic or send me an email to clarify the instructions to take medication. Don't feel shy. Please call me. Please clarify with me or the pharmacist on the instruction to take medication. P-walks can be very useful to minimize our forgetfulness in the taking medication, just as in mindful breathing practice, which is a common mindfulness practice. In mindful breathing, we are often taught to use an environmental cue, a poster or a sign to remind us to take mindful breath. Similarly, we can use the pill box as a cue to remind us to take our medications mindfully, to remember to take our medications. We can also use the meditation mind bell to help us to remember to take our medication. So we can use the mind bell to remind us to meditate. We can also use the mind bell to remind us to take our medication. So mindfulness is remembering. Earlier, I mentioned that mindfulness is remembering. Mindfulness is also paying attention. Okay? And in the context of mindful medicating, is paying attention to the medicating experience. Okay, this is an interesting cartoon. Look at the cartoon, and it says, the caption says, "Are you mindful or mindful while taking your medications?" So one of the problems in medicating is mindless medicating. Yeah, I'm sure you have this experience. Sometimes we forget whether we have taken our medications. So we were not paying full attention in the medicating process, and then we are not sure whether you're taking medicine. Did I take my medicine? Should I take it again? I'm sure that some of you have this experience. That is mindless medicating. Yeah. So this can be prevented by the mindful medicating. So in mindful eating is one of the common mindfulness practice. In mindful eating, we learn to eat mindfully. In mindful medicating, we learn to take medications mindfully. Yeah. So we are applying everything we learn in mindfulness training, but we are applying in the process of medicating. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we take our medications mindfully? How do we pay attention? How do we use mindfulness to ensure that we don't forget? So can be sure whether we have taken or not taken the medication. So this is my suggestion. Okay, so number one, try to minimize distractions when we are medicating. So no talking, no TV, no music. We try to pay full attention to the medicating experience. Sense the medication resting on our hand. Take a look at the color of the medication, the shades, feel the swallowing process as we take the medicine. Mentally, we can also label. Mentally, we can label. We can say in our heart, taking medication, I know I'm taking medication. So we verbalizing, either verbalizing or silently saying in our heart, taking medication, I know I'm taking medication. That's to help us to pay attention and to remember. Okay. Of course, we can take a mindful breath and put on a smile either before or after taking the medication. So very practical method to help us to pay attention to the medicating process. It's similar to the mindful eating process, just that we're doing it in the medicating process. Okay. Besides paying attention to the medicating process, is also very important to pay attention to our mindset when we're taking medicine. That is extremely important, especially if on treatment for mental health condition. In the medical world, the placebo effect is very common. Placebo effect. Placebo effect is the power to heal. If you, your doctor, family members, and your meditation teacher, if all of them believe that a certain medication works, is higher probability that the medication will be effective. On the other hand, we have the nocebo effect in the medicine. If you think the medicine is harmful, if your family members think the medicine is harmful, if your meditation teacher also thinks that the medicine is also harmful, there's a higher chance that you will get side effects. Yeah. So be mindful, be aware of the mindset, the attitude that we have towards the medication that we are consuming. This is one of the ways that I help some of my patients to have a positive mindset when they are taking their medication. You see here, there are two medication envelopes. Yeah, so this is the original envelope, and this is the envelope with the MINDFULGym sticker. Yeah, so I distribute stickers to some of my patients. So we paste a sticker over the medication envelope. Why I'm doing this? Because I noticed the original medication envelope, when I look at this sign, it gives the impression that this is a poison. Look at this sign, give the impression that it's a poison. So it's something to harm. Whereas you have a cute sticker here, it gives the impression that it's something therapeutic, something helpful. Yeah. Okay, let's move on. So mindfulness is not just paying attention. I talked about paying attention earlier, remembering to pay attention. Mindfulness is also about paying kind attention. It's not just present moment attention, it's kind attention. Again, in our context, is relating to the experience of medicating with kindness, respect, and gratitude. Yeah. How do we do that? How do we make that practical? So in my presentation, I try to make everything practical instead of just theoretical. Yeah. So medicating with kindness, medicating kindfully. Okay. The first thing, we can try to radiate grateful thoughts, radiate grateful thoughts, radiate kind thoughts to everyone who has contributed to the creation of the medication, which is available to us. And these people can be the scientists who invented the medicine, the doctor who prescribed the medicine, the pharmaceutical company who manufactured the medicine, or the pharmacist who dispense the medicine to us. Yeah. So mentally appreciate, be grateful to all the conditions that they make the medication available to us. Yeah. So that is the first way to apply kindness in medicating. Okay, this is another way, the second way. Yeah. So often when I'm taking my medication, I often try to be kind to my mind and body by humming the Rasa Sayang song. Okay, Rasa Sayang is actually a Malay folk song. Yeah. So while taking the medication, I will usually hum this song to remind me to be kind to my mind and body. Yeah. I will sing to you the song. Okay, the name of the song is called Rasa Sayang. Rasa Sayang is a Malay word. Basically, it means feeling love or feeling being cared for. So the song, the tune goes like this. Rasa sayang, hey, rasa sayang, sayang, hey. Hey, may I, may you, may all be happy, happy, happy. May I, may you, may all be happy, happy, happy. Yeah. So as I'm taking my medication, I will sing this song or hum this song to radiate kindness to my mind and body. And sometimes also while singing the song, I'll actually use my hand. I will use my hand to soothe my tummy, soothe my tummy or soothe my heart or soothe my tummy as I sing the song. So I take the medication, that I soothe, I stroke my heart. Rasa sayang, hey, rasa sayang, sayang, hey. Hey, may I, may you, may all be happy, happy, happy. Yeah. So you can also sing the song in Chinese as well. So sometimes I sing in Chinese Rasa sayang, hey, rasa sayang, sayang, hey, hey, 祝我祝你祝大家平安健康快乐. Yeah, so that's how I practice kindness when I'm taking my medication, radiating kind thoughts to my mind and body. Yeah, so you can give this a try as well. Yeah. If you don't like this method, there's another way to apply kindness in mindful medicating. Yeah. So I try to be respectful to my mind and body by some positive self-talk. So while consuming the medicine, I will think in this way. So I sort of talk to my brain, talk to my body, talk to the medicine. I say, dear brain, body, and medicine, please allow me to introduce you to another. I hope you can be friends. So imagine I'm talking to my body, talking to my mind, and talking to the medication. Please get to know one another. I hope you can be friends. I hope you can be safe, healthy, and happy. So I'm wishing all of them free from side effects. May you be healthy in body, and you healthy in the mind. Yeah. So there's another method you can try in medicating in a kindful way. Yeah. Okay, let's proceed to the beginner's mind. Beginner's mind. So being mindful is not just paying kind attention, which I already covered in the few earlier slides. It's not just paying kind attention to the medicating experience, it's befriending the medicating process with a beginner's mind. Befriending the medicating process with the beginner's mind. Okay, what does that mean? Befriending the medications with the beginner's mind. How do we do that? Okay, so we can do that by paying curious attention. Beginner's mind attention is curious attention, also known as non-judgmental attention. Pay curious attention to the thoughts, feelings, bodily sensations, and behavioral changes associated with the medication. Yeah. So record, make notes, record the effect of medication non-judgmentally and discuss with your doctor. This is very important and very useful. So it's good to have a medication tracker, just as we pay attention to what works and what doesn't work when we meditate. That's what most meditation teachers will tell us. Make note on what works for us and what doesn't work for us so that we can customize our meditation practice. So we can use the same for medicating process as well. Okay. So with the medication tracker, we pay attention to the effects of the medicine and pay attention to the various factors that influence the effects of medicine. For example, the timing, the dose of the medicine, the frequency of the medicine, the various circumstances that we take the medication. Yeah, so make notes of all this very important information and discuss this with your doctor when you're in the clinic. Yeah, so that's what I usually tell my patient, and this information are very, very useful when we need to do adjustment to the medication in the clinic. So there's one way of applying beginner's mind. There's another way to apply beginner's mind in mindful meditating. This is in the context of a side effect. Okay, if you notice any side effect of medication, try to put on a beginner's mind. Try to be non-judgmental. What does that mean? Okay, in this context, it means don't jump into the conclusion. It's definitely 100% side effect. Don't jump to the conclusion. Have an open mind. So in my clinic, I often educate my clients, my patients, to consider 3 possibilities whenever they are worried about any side effect. So they will complain the side effect to me. Okay, I will educate them to have an open mind, to have a beginner's mind, to be non-judgmental. Consider 3 possibilities. So what are the 3 possibilities? The first one is the effect, or the so-called side effect. The effect, for example, heart palpitation, well, is a side effect. And it could be a side effect. So the first possibility is a side effect of the medication. Okay. The second possibility is can be an effect of the symptoms of the illness itself. That means not due to the medication, it's due to the illness itself. For example, people with panic attack can have heart palpitation. So not necessarily it's due to the medicine. It can be due to the illness itself. Of course, the effect can also be due to other medical conditions like thyroid disorder. So don't jump into the conclusion that it's side effect. Well, it can be side effect. It can also be a symptom of the illness you have been treated for, or it can be a symptom of other medical conditions. Yeah, so that's how we apply beginner's mind. So beginner's mind in this context is to have an open mind. Don't jump into the conclusion that is a side effect. There's a nice quote here by Frank Zappa related to beginner's mind. So it says, a mind is like a parachute. It doesn't work if it's not open. Yeah, so very important in the medicating process. Yeah. Okay, that's all on the beginner's mind. So the last message I have on mindful medicating is related to wisdom. So there are 5 components. Mindfulness is remembering to pay attention to the present moment, which is the medicating experience, with kindness, beginner's mind, and wisdom. So this is the last part. Okay? So mindful medicating cannot be separated from wisdom. Cannot be separated by wisdom. So mindfulness is not just paying attention, it's paying wise attention. There's always a wisdom component. Okay. So when I talk about wisdom, I'm not talking about high-end, sophisticated philosophical wisdom. I'm talking about down-to-earth practical wisdom. So practical wisdom in the context of mindful medicating says that acceptance of illness and medication is crucial for effective treatment. And this is particularly important in the context of mental illness. So we need to accept the illness. We need to accept that certain illness need medication. We need to accept that certain medication may have side effects. We also need to accept that taking medication only likely is not sufficient. A complete, holistic, comprehensive treatment require many strategies, not just medication. For example, we also need family support and lifestyle changes and mindfulness practice. So we need to accept all this for effective treatment. Next, I would like to share with you a psychologist's experience with medication for bipolar depression. This is to highlight to you the importance of acceptance for effective treatment. So let me read to you, of course, with the permission. I have bipolar disorder. I take medication daily and get on with my life. My wife knows of my struggles, but treats me as though I have no disorder. That's what I need. Other than a diagnosis and medication treatment, plus my own effort to keep healthy by practicing mindfulness. So this psychologist is a mindfulness practitioner. Besides practicing mindfulness, therapeutic thoughts and behavior, my life resembles anyone without a disorder. I go about my day just as though I have no disorder. I'm not confined by my diagnosis. Life goes on, although I hope that I'll be able to go off medication one day. I know that for now, I need them. At the moment, he needs the medication. It has taken me some time to get to where I am now. I feel I'm on the road to recovery, but somehow still need to be stabilized with medication. My symptoms have significantly reduced in the last 2 years, and I can safely say my life is pretty normal. I don't think anyone can tell if I got a diagnosis. I don't think they'll believe me if I've told them that I have the mental health condition. They won't expect a psychiatric patient to be as functional as I am. I still keep my diagnosis a secret because of the stigma attached to it. I may be okay with my diagnosis, but others may not be. I know because I'm a professor of psychology, we are not at a stage where our mental health literacy is at a level where I will feel safe to share my diagnosis. Treatment, including medication, contributes to wellness. There's no shame in treatment. Yeah. So that's a wonderful sharing to capture the wisdom and the importance of acceptance. Of course, acceptance is never easy for mental health conditions. Yeah. So how do we cultivate illness and medication acceptance? Yeah, so there are many ways. But over here, I would like to share with you this practice of 5 mindful vitamin, which is taught in the MINDFULGym program to help people to have to cultivate acceptance. Okay? The 5 mindful vitamins are in the form of short verses or coping statement. Basically, they are positive, positive, healthy, helpful coping statements to help us to respond to life wisely. Yeah. So the 5 coping statements are: number 1, what have I learned? Number 2, I'm not alone. Number 3, it could have been worse. Number 4, what can I do now? And number 5, this will also pass. Yeah. So how do we apply this in acceptance? You can also imagine that these mindful vitamins are like mental vaccine. Now COVID, everybody is talking about vaccine. You can imagine they are mental vaccine to protect us from non-acceptance. Yeah. So the 5 mindful vitamins, how do we apply that? Okay, for example, under I'm not alone. So under I'm not alone, that coping statement, we try to connect to others who are on similar medication to share experience, to share resources on to maximize the positive effect of the medication. Yeah, so reminding us that we are not alone helps, is an antidote for the feeling of loneliness. So we remind ourselves, there are other people with same condition, also on same medicine. We can share resources and support one another. And what can I do now? We try to remind ourselves to focus on what we can do to recover. Okay, those things that are not within our control, we learn to let go. So not everything in life can be changed. Not everything in life can be controlled. So we learn to accept, focus on those that we can do. Things not within our control, learn to let go. Under the what have I learned? This is similar to what Professor Cheng has mentioned. So it's about silver lining. What have I learned? We try to give meaning and purpose to our illness and the medication. Is a teacher. The illness is a teacher. The medication is also a teacher. For example, my own experience, I actually suffered from panic attacks a few years ago. Panic attacks. Yeah. So the panic attack is a teacher. Of course, I'm a psychiatrist. I see patients with a panic attack every day in my clinic. Just like Professor Chang see people with a urological problem every day in his clinic. Yeah. But experiencing the panic attack ourselves is very different. Yeah. So it's a silver lining. I'm thankful to my panic attack. It really helps me to understand the illness, not just as a professional, but as a patient. They're also very helpful for me to empathize my patients. Under it could have been worse, so remind ourselves to be grateful. At least we have a chance to take medications. A lot of people have no chance to take medications. Many people have a financial constraint to get the medication. And there's some illness, there's no medication at all. So we try to remind ourselves our condition is already not that bad. It could have been worse. And last, under this will also pass. We remind ourselves that things will pass. The COVID will pass. Just don't know when it will pass. Even if any condition, any illness may not get better, we still can always learn to cope better. Especially if we have the mindfulness skills, mindfulness tools, various mindfulness tools, technique to help us. We can always learn to cope better. Yeah. So that's how we apply the 5 mindful vitamins to help us in the acceptance. Yeah, I come to the end of the presentation. So I would like to summarize the entire presentation in this slide. So this entire presentation is about how to medicate mindfully. Is on mindful medicating, applying mindfulness in the process and experience of medicating. So 5 main points under the memory. We remember the instruction to take medication with the mind bell, with the pill box. Remember the instruction to take medication. Under attention, we pay full attention to the medication, the experience, so that we don't forget. We also remind ourselves to be mindful, be aware of a mindset towards the medication, our attitude towards medicine. Under kindness, we radiate kind thoughts to the mind, to the body, to the medication, to all the people in the world who contributed the medication or taking the same medication. Under beginner's mind, we learn to monitor the medication effects with an open mind, with a curiosity, without judgment, and discuss the experience with our doctor so that we can adjust the medication to better suit us. And last but not least, under mindfulness, we learn to practice the 5 mindful vitamin, the coping statements to help us accept the illness and the medication. Okay. While preparing this talk, I actually written an article on this talk. So if you're interested in the write-up version of this talk, you can go to the MINDFULGym blog. It is the QR code. You can also share with your friends as well. So with that, thank you very much. Happy medicating mindfully. Thank you. Yeah.